Italian thieves return a tourist's watch after realizing it's fake. And we're going to be checking out this video, but like just imagine that you are so picky as a thief that you return what you stole on camera. So, let's check this out. Okay, so basically right here, right? This guy in the black t-shirt is walking towards the table. I think he sticks a gun. Yeah, he sticks a gun into the guy's back right here. You can see right here, right here. This is a gun, and he has it placed against the person's back. And what's crazy, the only person that actually like notices anything is obviously the other dude at the table, but also this girl randomly. Immediately steals his watch and then just walks away, and then people notice and they're like, oh, something happened. Then they just sit back down, basically can't believe that it just actually happened, and they move on. And then moments later, a young kid, compared to the other person, goes up to them and returns the watch. Right? Which you might be thinking, why would they do that? Now I skimmed a little bit into this, but basically in the area that this basically happened, because everything is recorded, right? Meaning all their faces are on camera because they know that it's going to get recorded. If they were to basically ever get punished for the crime because they did a crime, by them returning the item, they would end up getting a lesser punishment. So it wouldn't be as strict, apparently, in this area. So let's get into the article. Thanks but no thanks, a pair of discriminating thieves in Italy robbed a watch from a Swiss tourist only to return the timepiece moments later after realizing it was a cheap knockoff. And by the way, here's the thing. If you were to ever like travel outside of your country, never wear something worth more than a couple $100, right? Because the reality is you're basically just making yourself a target. So, unless you have like really good insurance on whatever expensive, watch that you end up carrying or jewelry that you end up carrying, don't wear it unless you have that. And even if you did have that, you probably shouldn't because people are probably going to risk ending your life or risking their life as well trying to end your life to get that item, right? People are willing to do crazy stuff in different parts of the world for very little money. So if they see that you have a really nice watch, if they see if you have like six figures on your wrist, guess what? You're practically like signing your death warrant. Like it's crazy. So be very careful what you wear to different countries because not every country is going to be like yours. So footage shows two tourists enjoying a drink just before midnight, July 17th, at the bustling Piazza Trieste e Trento in Naples, where a mugger accosted them at gunpoint and demanded that one of them turn over their watch. Minutes later, another man appears, returns the pilfered watch to its startled owner, and apologizes to him, the footage shows. The astonishing exchange took place at Monide Cafe, where the owner said he believes the bold thief returned the watch because it wasn't worth the effort since it wasn't a Swiss made Richard Mille. Basically, they had assumed that it was pretty much going to be like $1 million watch, but they realized, oh, wait a minute, this thing's like literally worthless, basically. Right? So, the potential like big punishment of just stealing this watch wasn't worth the actual cost of the watch. So they brought it back saying, sorry, sorry, maybe as an attempt to get him not to report it, co-owner Antonio Visconti told the network. The would-be robbers thought the man's watch was worth, $307,000, according to Francesco Emilio Borelli, a counselor for the Campania region for the Europa Verde Party. So yeah, see, this is the thing, right? If you have like criminals believing that you got like six figures on your wrist, right? What are they willing to do to make a quick 200, 300 grand? Probably a lot. Would they be willing to end your life? Probably. Would they be willing to rob you? Probably. Right? So you gotta be very careful, right? I mean, even living in your own state, if you live in the United States or in your own country, in the city that you live in right now, even if you might feel comfortable and safe right now, anyone at any given point can literally just rob you. Like, you gotta be so careful. And, like, for example, like a really, really big watch collector on the internet who goes by the name Producer Michael, who has like multiple seven figures worth of watches and jewelry, right? Has to literally put his collections in like a safety deposit box every time that he wants to go into it. And has to get like security, has to make sure that like they're all lock and key, gotta make sure that they're all insured. Like at any given point he could just get robbed for the stuff. Like it's crazy. Like here's the thing. If you got to the point in your life where you were actually making enough money to where you could buy a watch like this, go ahead and buy it. If it has no like financial impact on you, if something bad were to happen to it and it would not affect your the rest of your life financially, go ahead and buy it. But understand that when you buy a watch like this, you put a target on yourself. Same thing if you were to buy like a Lamborghini or a Ferrari. Yeah, it's cool, but depending on where you drive that vehicle, now you are a target to the underbelly of the world, right? Like you are now just a target. And even just like driving down the highway, now you're a bigger target for people who are like out of their minds or just are having a bad day and they see you driving your nice car and they're like, "Oh, I hate the road, I hate my life, let me just take it out on them." Like there are some crazy people out there and you got to be very careful. And look, they're lucky in a sense that the people realized that it was fake fast enough, but also they're unlucky because them wearing basically a fake watch that looks expensive caused them to get mugged at gunpoint. Like it's bad either way. So the piazza where the heist occurred has long been plagued by crime and has lately become a place where people illegally park after dark, Borelli said. Well, that's not a good sign. I've been reporting the problems in that piazza for some time, but there's no surveillance, he told CNN. It's one of the least safe areas of the city, and it should be one of the safest. Droves of delinquent youths on scooters make life miserable for residents and tourists alike and don't make any effort to disguise their identities, Burley said. They don't care. This is a very important statement. They don't care, right? If you have criminals who literally just do not care about anyone else but themselves, everything you do is now putting yourself at risk. He continued, they're using a pistol at 13, 14 years old. The guy who did this knew how to use it. He even pointed it at the head of the Swiss tourist, which we basically said like it was like at the back of the neck, basically. The shameless thief steal watches to resell them immediately, but someone realized the latest score was ersatz, Burley said. So knowing the law, they sent another kid to return it, he said, because they know the bars there have CCTV and they know that images were recorded, and in front of the law, to have brought the watch back means a much lighter punishment because they committed the robbery, but they did bring back the property. Visconti said the incident is bad publicity for Naples. Now, the craziest thing about this, right, is that they would get a lesser punishment even though they literally robbed them at gunpoint. Okay? Like, that's crazy. For years, we've been saying the same things. We need a social pact. We need to reboot our sector. He told CNN, "We are not used to this kind of violence, but we suffer aggression every day. We are waging a war against this kind of thing, but we are on our own." The targeted tourist, meanwhile, finished his drink and didn't seem too shaken up by the frightening experience. I mean, he probably was having like so much adrenaline mixed with like alcohol that he was just like, I don't even know what the hell's going on. He said, "What a great adventure," Visconti recalled. Wow. Let's see any comments on this. Okay, yeah. For years, we've been saying the same things. We need a social pact. We need to reboot our sector. If I had a dime for every time I've said we need a social pact, we need to reboot our sector, I'd have 0 dimes. Whatever. The way things turned out for the tourist, luckily, he will have a unique story to dine out on for a long time. I guess Italian thieves are educated and are able to authenticate high-end merch at a glance. As for tourists, when traveling, wear a recognizably cheap watch and leave your other valuables at home. See, this is the thing, right? Like, if you're a tourist, what you need to wear is like wear like a really cheap like digital watch, like a $10, $20 digital watch from like Walmart, right? That's waterproof, that you literally do not care about, right? The only things that you should really like carry on you that you care about and you need to make sure that you always have them on you is basically your passport and basically your wallet for like money and all that. So, having seen cheap knockoffs sold on New York City streets back in the 80s, one knew what to look for. The biggest giveaway is not having a sweep secondhand, but the incrementing secondhand. That is likely what the thieves noticed. This is still a lot safer over there than New York City. The tourist over here would have been knifed or shot. The mugger here also would have returned only to shoot him again because the watch was fake. And it wouldn't have taken a watch to do it, just random, violent crime. Coming soon to New York City, fraud charges on any tourist who misleads their muggers. LOL, I'm Italian and I appreciate this. Italy is where the best knockoffs are made, so obviously the guy didn't buy the watch there. It's where Angelina Jolie's famous white Oscar suit was knocked off and given to her by the brand to wear, and she and the brand didn't know about the fraud. Roberto Saviana's bestseller, Gomorrah, tells the story. Interesting. So basically, just be very careful when you end up traveling to another country with potentially a different culture than you because the nightlife may be vastly different than what you're used to. The criminal situation may be very different than what you're used to. And by the way, it's never smart to be traveling around in another country where people think that you have money on you. Like, that is very dangerous. By the way, if you want to learn how to get out of debt and master your money, go to 40inbox.com or learn down below. Feel free to give your thoughts. Would you wear a six-figure watch on your wrist and go overseas, like go travel to a different country, or would you wear a fake watch that looks like it cost multiple six figures and still travel to other countries? Or would you just be like, no, I'm just going to wear a really cheap watch and just save me the potential, bullet in my spine?